Marie Anthony, the jury of your peers, having found you not guilty as to the charge contained in count 1 of the indictment, murder in the first degree?
10 hours, 40 minutes, and 33 seconds of jury deliberation spared Casey Anthony life in prison or even the death penalty. She stood accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, back in 2008.
Prosecutors say the mountain of evidence presented during the 6-week trial did not eliminate all reasonable doubt. Defense Attorney Chet Pleban is here this morning to talk about the verdict. A lot of folks very surprised, very angry. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that in the court of public opinion, she's guilty and will always be guilty, just kind of like O.J. Simpson. I mean, I think if you line up 10 people at random, you'll get 9 out of 10 that say O.J. is guilty, she's guilty, and will always be guilty.
Jay Leno said that in his joke last night, monologue. He said, the jury from the O.J. case, they all moved to
Florida. They retired.
Yeah. So,
but, you know, the reality is that it's one thing for us to sit here and say, you know what, I think she's guilty, even before you hear any one piece of evidence, even before the jury's selected. But when you take that oath, when you go into that setting and you're selected to sit as a juror and sit in judgment of another human being, and you swear that you're going to be fair and impartial and you're going to be guided by the law and the evidence that comes from the courtroom, not from outside the courtroom, that's a solemn pledge, and jurors take that very, very seriously. And then you get to the question of reasonable doubt, and was the case proven beyond a reasonable doubt? And that means you have to be firmly convinced that the evidence that you're hearing in that courtroom is sufficient to convict her. And if you're not, then you have to give her the benefit of that doubt. And they did. And I don't think the evidence was there.
I think it really kind of emphasizes, as you mentioned, the importance of jury duty. A lot of people think it's a pain in the neck, an amazing civic duty, somebody's life literally on the line. Unfortunately, this little girl can't bring her back, but these people took their job seriously. I think they kind of knew that they would have been chastised for this particular verdict, don't you?
I don't know. I don't know whether I've never been on a jury. Obviously, I've spoken to many, many, many juries in some high-profile cases as well. But I've never had the opportunity to go back and deliberate. I don't think they're as concerned about what the public is going to think about them when they leave there as they are about doing the right thing and fulfilling that oath. And the fact of the matter is, you know, in this case, she was adjudged not guilty. That doesn't mean that she's innocent. That doesn't mean that she didn't do the crime. What it means is
prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
I mean, she's a liar.
They proved that.
She's a party girl.
They proved that.
She, obviously the parents have issues. It's a very dysfunctional family.
Totally dysfunctional. They proved all that.
There was forensic evidence.
Yeah, you know,
to a point.
Well, correct, and I think that also because there wasn't any DNA for whatever the reason, I think that works against the prosecution under these circumstances because again they bear the burden of proof, and people have come now in this stage, the days of CSI and those sorts of things to kind of expect they want some science to back up what they're doing and back up a guilty finding, and if they don't have it, they kind of wonder why they don't have it.
As far as the defense attorney is concerned, he also is being criticized for taking some real gambles in the courtroom by bringing in other outside factors, whether Casey was molested by her biological father, things like that. I mean, he kind of took some risks there.
I think he did, and at the time that he was doing it, I thought, ooh, this may not work out for him. But it did. If you listen to what the alternate juror said this morning, that what he said was that somebody knows what happened to this child, and I think it's the grandfather. Well, there wasn't one shred of evidence that the grandfather sexually molested the defendant. The only person who could say that would have been Casey Anthony. She didn't testify, and they knew full well that she wasn't going to testify. Yet, in the opening statement, they threw it out there.
Would you have put her on the stand?
No. Oh, no, not in a million years.
Did the prosecution mess up in any way in your eyes?
I don't think so. I think they did a very credible job with what they had to work with. And at the end of the day, you know, it was all smoke and mirrors, and that's what they were doing. And they recognized that in the post-trial interviews, that they knew that they were lacking in proof, even to the extent of the medical examiner. What was the cause of death? Now, you knew it was a homicide. That's fine. Okay, I can understand that. But what actually caused that child's death
They never said.
and who caused the child's death, we'll never know.
Wow.
All right. Well, a
we'll
little
be
bit
talking
later,
about it.
we're going to talk to Judge Alex.
Yeah,
Judge
he's been
Alex
following
Ferrer.
the trial down in Orlando, and
Ferrer. Yeah.
Well, that ought to be interesting.
3 o'clock. Yeah, we'll hear what he has to
he's a
say.
circuit judge down there.
They're
so we'll
very
talk to him.
emotional in Florida right now. As
Very
can be
much so.
expected.
Yes.